Hey guys, welcome back to Kingdom College. We'll be doing a selective high school trial test today, specifically focusing on power reading test 17. So let's get started. We have a bit of a shorter extract for the first 3 questions. Please read this in your own time. It's about, so it's called Maori's Called Home, and this is basically about New Zealanders and the Maori Affairs Minister trying to get Maoris or New Zealanders to go back to New Zealand to help with the unemployment crisis, simply because because a lot of Maoris are actually in Australia. Basically is what this short newspaper article is trying to say. That is the main message, at least. Okay, so let's take a look, okay, at the questions. So the article claims that many Maoris leave New Zealand and come to Australia. What do you think is the driving force behind this? So we'll just be using some comprehension skills. So let's take a look at the extract. So if we actually take a look from this line, the report says the key reason for moving, okay, so that should is economic opportunities such as higher wages. Okay, so Maoris feel as if the employment rate, or at least the job opportunities, the wages are better in Australia, hence why they would better in Australia rather than New Zealand, hence why they emigrate to Australia. Sorry, so the answer should be C. Okay. Number 2, I just kind of went ahead and defined patriotic for you guys because so how patriotic are the Maoris who come to live in Australia? Okay, so patriotic is an adjective used to describe someone's like strong pride for your own country. Okay, patriotism is actually the noun, right? But patriotic is the adjective. Okay, that's describing, right? Put that in brackets, sorry. Okay, now so let's take a look at the text again. Okay, the next sentence says, Mr. Haromia notes findings in the report that most of the Maoris in Australia consider New Zealand home and do not take up Australian citizenship. Okay, now this is a really interesting topic. Okay, so firstly, they consider New Zealand home. Okay, they like home. We're gonna take a look at that as in like an identity sense. Okay, right? So they're trying to say like, oh well, that's my home, that's where I come from. Okay, I resonate with that culture, like I partake in that culture. Okay, and it's also really interesting that they do not take up Australian citizenships. Okay, now citizenship in general, it's a bit of a debate, I guess, but we're gonna focus on this context of this this extract. Okay, sorry, we're gonna focus on this extract in this context, right? So in this case, right, we're sure like Australian citizenship or citizenship in general, it's not just like the legal terms and the resources you can access in that particular country, i.e. Australia, right? It's also which culture do you partake in? Like, would you consider yourself more of an Australian or more of a New Zealander? It's about where you feel as if you belong, right? And recognizing yourself to fit into that group because maybe you recognize that group because you're part of that group, okay? Or maybe you recognize that group because you don't partake in those actions, right? So in this case, right, they recognize the Australian identity, but they do not take up Australian citizenship, okay? So they recognize that Australia has its own identity, but Maoris in this extract is like they do not resonate with that identity. Okay, so yeah, we can that's how we find the answer to be 2A. Okay, they find themselves to be New Zealanders. Okay, they find themselves to resonate with the New Zealand identity over the Australian identity, right? And lastly, from the government's point of view in New Zealand, the article expresses, now we're just looking for the conclusion, like this is from the perspective of New Zealand's Maori Affairs Minister, right? And so we need to figure out like what's the conclusion? What is this guy trying to tell us? Okay, that's actually really directly stated, these per quotation marks, okay, and also he says, okay, in the last sentence. If you're thinking about coming home, think about it seriously, because many of you have skills which could play a valuable part in this renaissance, okay? Renaissance is also an interesting word, okay? So they're trying to better that country, so better New Zealand, okay? So in this case, they're basically trying to get Maoris to come back to New Zealand, okay? So the answer will be D, okay? They want to try and get New Zealanders to come back to New Zealand to partake in that renaissance in bettering New Zealand. Okay, moving on to the next extract, we have about 3 questions. It's called What's the Inference? Odious Under Armour's Marathon Man by Bill Condon and Diane Bates. Okay, so this extract is actually supposed to be read like a play. So if you guys just take a look at the extract, the italics, like here, scene 1, okay, here as well, on this side, Gilly, Achilles, and Regurgitus enter, okay. These italic lines are actually stage directions, so you have to imagine as if we're watching it on in a theater as a play, okay. So we have these characters over here, okay. Odious Under Armus, Bilius, Gilly, Achilles, Regurgitus, Achilles, Tyrannus, Dreadus, Narratus, the Oracle, and a crowd, okay. So our very first question, okay, a number of the characters' names are, okay, let's take a look at the names again, okay, Under Armus, okay, Bilius, Achilles, Regurgitus, Achilles again, yeah, the Dreadus, Narratus, okay. A lot of this, the US is a bit like repetitive. That's very common in like ancient names as well. But Under Armus, Achilles, Regurgitus, okay. Underarms, like Under Armus is like underarms, okay. Achilles is referring to like your foot, like Achilles' heel, okay. Regurgitus, like a kind of like throat, okay. So when we look at it, the names are actually really referring to unpleasant human functions, okay? Right? Like regurgitate, right? So, yeah. Now, let's take a look at number 5, okay? The importance of the word hook and good catch. So once you guys have finished like reading this extract is basically about Odious coming along, meeting Gilly, okay, and basically it's a very flirtatious kind of tone, right? Like they meet each other for the first time, okay. It's really emphasized in these 2 lines when Gilly says, well, do you have any nice eyes? Why did I say nice eyes? And Odious responds, because you have nice eyes, okay. And then Regurgitus and the Narratus states again, oh, I've seen that look before, the look of love, okay, very light, okay, very light-hearted tone, okay. And the thing is, right, we're actually in like they're selling fish, okay, like Odious is a fishmonger, right. So the last part, Gilly and Odious say like, I would hook the man of my dreams. My mom always said I had a good catch, okay. So it's a play on words. It's a play on the fact that they're buying fish, and also like hook, as in like to bring in, like a flirty way, right? And odious is like a catch, right? So someone that is very like valuable, someone that like really catches your eye, someone that really interests you. So it's a play on, like, it's a pun on the fact that they're at that, that they have like fish, and also because they have that, like, they're flirting with one another basically. Okay, so it'd be A. Now number 6, based on the extract, you would infer that odious is a, okay, we have fine young man, idealist, and leader, and buffoon. Okay, so the answer for this question is actually buffoon, simply because odious is very very playful. Okay, very playful. Like here, like he at the first at the beginning, he's like yelling out like, oh, I'm selling all these fish, right? And then but what, like, sorry, when he meets like Jilly, right, he's very shy, right? He's very shy, like, oh, you have nice eyes, right? And then he also like jokes around with her very playfully, right? Right here, okay, salmon, snapper, sea lion, stingray, getcha, red hot fishies, fish miss, care for some week old fishies, okay, week old fishies, like he's like kind of like, oh, like why would you want like week old fish, right? He's kind of just joking around, right? Like when you can, like, why would you want a week old fish when he's clearly caught some more like fresher fish, right? Okay, also if you just take a look at how he's like speaking, the getcha, okay, like it would actually be like get you, right? Like get you some red hot fishies, okay? Even the red hot is like very colloquial, right? It's very like playful, like as if you're speaking to a friend, right? So but here he's kind of like joking around, right? So this joking, goofy personality kind of makes him a bit more of like a buffoon. Like you can kind of make fun of him, and especially like because you know he gets flustered later on, right? It's like a joke, but yeah. So it's not very like a like that quote unquote like proper stoic kind of romantic meeting. It's a very joking, playful manner, right? Which is why we would associate him with being like a bit of like a buffoon. Okay. And let's take a look at our final extract, which is a comic strip, okay? Making inferences from comics politically correct by Greg Anderson Clift. Okay, so we have this boy stepping into a pet shop who wants a bird, but the boy does not want the bird to be in a cage in the second, right? And then funnily enough, the pet shop owner is like, oh, there are other options, and then it's actually quite dark. They keep birds like kind of tied up to like this like a heavy ball, right, like chained up so they can't escape, like kind of like tied to a stake and then held up with chains, right, their wings, right? So it's kind of funny, but it's not, like, it's actually a bit serious, kind of dark, right? So this is not supposed to be like a real thing, but it's like just like a joke, because the boy over here, he really didn't want to keep them captive, right? So it's supposed to be like a funny joke, right? Oops, sorry about that. Right, so let's take a look at the first question. Humor in comics often depends on misunderstanding. So in your opinion, who in this comic strip most misunderstands the situation? Okay, here the pet shop owner misunderstands it because the boy is communicating to the pet shop owner, right? But the pet shop owner is like, oh, well, like they might have in their head, like, I don't know how else to, you know, give you a bird without the bird running or flying away, right? So that's why it shows like these options, okay? So the shop owner actually really misunderstands the customer, okay? Now, number 8, sorry. Comics often make use of facial features. What inferences can you make about the expression of the pet shop owner in frame 3? Okay, this is frame 3, right? This is not like mangas, if you guys read those. So it's left to right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so here, if you actually take a look at the face here and also here, it's like it literally, like, his facial expression did not change, right? So as if he didn't really care, or it was something that he would just do like every day. And one of the options actually says indifferent. Okay, indifferent is supposed to mean like neutral, almost like you don't really care, right? Like you're very relaxed. Okay, that's what indifferent is supposed to mean. Like, I'll kind of like imagine if your friend is like, oh, are you free after school? And you're like, I don't know. And they're like, oh, well, if you want, you can come over, but if you can't, then it's fine. Like, you don't really like mind. Like, it's good if you can. If you don't, it's not a big deal. Like, they don't really care either way. It's just very lax, at least. Like, it's just neutral. And because of the facial expressions, right, having like no change whatsoever, right, it just shows that he didn't really mind, like, whether or not, like, you know, he just didn't really care, I guess. Number 9, comic characters often react or underreact. Which character would be least stressed by the situation as shown in the last frame? Now, this is actually really drawing from the previous question, right? Because he didn't, like, the shop owner did not change, like, facial expressions. Like, he doesn't really, like, seem stressed about it, right? But the boy, who seems as if, like, he really wants a bird, like, as a pet to nurture and care for, he's, like, shocked. Or at least we, like, there would be some sort of reaction, right? It wouldn't be like how the shop owner seems as if they don't care, right? So it should be the pet shop owner. And lastly, how would we react to it? Okay, this frame, okay, it's dark, right? It's quite dark, but it's supposed to try to make us, like, chuckle a little, right? Like, it's a funny little joke, but also, like, we know, like, seriously, like, we're not actually gonna, like, we wouldn't do this, right? So we're supposed to be, like, in the options, okay, angry, amused, but upset, right? So it's, like, funny, but then you're like, oh, seriously, it's not really that. It's not a good thing to do, right? So, yeah. Okay, so that's it for test 17, but before we finish up, I just want to give you guys some pointers. So firstly, I'd really like you guys to probably just work on your analysis skills, specifically reading between the lines. Now, reading between the lines is basically what is the composer trying to tell you, and what are they trying to suggest, or what reaction are they trying to get out of you? Like, maybe consider why is that. Just really take a look and be precise. Like, look at the precise words they are using. Okay, why use the word journey instead of trip, for example? Okay, so I'd really like you guys to just reconsider that. Each text is different, so just keep that in mind as well. And just in general, once again, vocabulary. I say this almost like every single time I have a video with you guys, but vocabulary, as we are going through these tests, it would actually be really useful for you guys to perhaps just start a little vocab list and then put down then the word, meaning. If it has multiple meanings, you can put down the multiple meanings, and then maybe just state, like, oh, is it a noun, verb, how would you use it? Okay, just so you guys aren't really getting confused. One of the words that may have stood out today for you guys was patriotism, patriot. Okay, so what does that mean? Like, just hence why I would really suggest you guys to start a vocab list or something. And yeah, that's it for today. So please just keep these 2 things in mind as we do continue with these videos. And yeah, have a good week and stay safe.